Welcome back. You got Will and I-Man here from the Block Runner, MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking about some Bitcoin.
About time, dude.
I mean, we've only been talking about Bitcoin for like 14 months now, straight.
Yeah, but...
Straight.
Right, but a lot of people probably clicking on this video, it's probably the first time they've like had the inkling, the urge to like search up Bitcoin on YouTube, be like, you know what, I kind of want to know what's
back in.
Yeah, I want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Right? Why? Because their Coinbase alerts are like pinging them to hell.
Yeah.
Their Robinhood, like whatever the fucks. It's like, we got a new gift for you, dude. Free Bitcoin. Come trade on our platform. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And we know it's happening because it happens every single time. Previous all-time high gets broken and like all of a sudden the light switch flickers in everyone's brain. It's like, holy shit, you know, Bitcoin actually is good. Right? It's not a scam.
It's it's so funny how that happens. Like when Bitcoin is at 16 grand.
Yeah, it's total scam.
Crickets,
it's
scams.
Like everyone's out there like, I told you so.
Yeah.
You know? I'm the smart one because I told you guys that it was all a scam.
Yeah.
Right? Dude, this is just psychology, man. It happens every time.
Yeah, I just feel like this happens to like a different group of human beings, though.
Like a new group?
It's like a new set of human beings that go through this cycle. I feel like the people who've been through this, have gone through this, they're not feeling the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? So it's
that's I mean, we're fucking battle-hardened
that's
individuals.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we got the scar tissue to prove it, dude. We, like, lift our shirts. It's just like fucking wounds.
Yeah.
Market wounds, dude. All the pain of the past.
I watched the movie 300 again just to get inspired.
It's inspired for what?
I don't know.
Get like shredded? Pretty much, right? I know that's where you did it. It's like you're trying to get back in the gym.
Yeah.
So I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
I watch 300. Okay.
All right.
But Bitcoin needs no inspiration at all.
Yeah, it doesn't need Leonidas.
Bitcoin is boasting like some of the maddest gains I think we've ever seen, literally. And it's doing it so like
easily,
casually,
so effortlessly.
You know? Yeah, it's crazy. And it happened over the weekend.
Yes, it did.
Which is kind of weird also because don't like ETF like
they're closed.
Right. Oh, actually it kind of happened like mostly this morning on Monday, right? So
that's true. But
so there was like it was hanging out.
No, man, I was up at 3 a.m. and
God damn. Okay.
Yeah, I was like texting. I was like, it's 71,000.
Oh, it broke like in the wee hours. Pre Wall Street.
Bell. Yeah, I mean, someone's awake at 3 a.m. right on the planet.
Yes.
So their systems are online.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So are there any ETFs like activity outside of the United States? Like
probably.
It has to be, right?
Most likely, but I don't think like that
Pings.
was the contributing for it. I think it's just I don't know. It's just everything is just so goddamn bullish, dude.
Yeah.
To the point where Bitcoin is again casually breaking its previous all-time high pre-halving.
Yeah.
And we don't even know how to like really contextualize what's happening. All we know is that a lot of people are paying attention now to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And we have like I don't know, we have a responsibility here on the Block Runner, I guess, because we spent the last year and change doing our own due diligence and investigating like Bitcoin before the market kind of like gave us that reassurance that, you know, we need to be paying attention.
Right.
So here we are. We're going to kind of like relay as much as we've learned over the last year and the many years prior so that, you know, you guys onboarding now have some context to kind of like run along with, right? Because we're seeing all these things on Twitter. It's like, okay, you know, I'm hearing these things called Ordinals and, you know, Bitcoin isn't just digital gold anymore, right? This is news to me.
Yeah.
And it should be because this is actually a new thing.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the discovery about Ordinals from like these new players into the market, like it has to be, they're going through that mind blown moment that we went through a year ago.
I bet.
And I think we're gonna be seeing like an explosion of activity as far as Ordinals goes.
I think so too. Because imagine it's like even like the guys who kind of like they played around in the last cycle and then they probably went away. Now they're coming back. It's like, oh shit, you know, there's things selling for like tens of thousands of dollars on Bitcoin. You're like, art again?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's on Bitcoin, right? So these narratives are going to slowly trickle throughout like, you know, mainstream zeitgeist, right? But I mean, it's complicated. It's because it is very new and it's not like Ethereum. I mean, it is in a lot of senses, but it's also very different, right? So yeah, let's talk about like where Bitcoin actually is, dude. It's doing some things that it.
Yeah.
I guess I kind of predicted this would happen in a sense.
You kind of did, yeah.
To the point where I officially won my bet, right?
I think technically you have one.
Right on. The glory is mine, Will.
Yeah. Well, so let's see where we're at. So I'm showing you the chart here. This is $20,000 Bitcoin. This is like 67, 69 here.
Yeah.
And then we're at 72.
Yeah.
Right now.
Casual rip, dude. Basically, since like the FTX collapse, Bitcoin has done nothing but just go up.
Yeah.
Slowly. But it's definitely starting to pick up, starting to accelerate, right?
Yeah.
So that brings a lot of questions, like, what should we be anticipating? How should we react to this?
Yeah, I mean, this is so unusual. We've never seen an all-time high for Bitcoin pre-halving.
No, not at all.
And so this is largely due to the ETF thing and a lot of the stuff that collapsed, like Three Arrows, FTX, banks, like all that stuff has like already settled.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw a lot of sell activity here. It was oversold.
Big time.
And so I think it makes sense that it comes back and like at least
as like a rubber band.
Yeah, like a rubber band effect.
Maybe you're right. That's why it's kind of like outperforming everybody's expectations. Yeah, because during this bearish cycle, it was overperforming on the bearish side, right? Just look at these models right here.
Yeah, that's true.
You're about to introduce a new one, by the way, because this is like we've been following this one for years.
Yeah, the rainbow chart here.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just something else that I wanted to mention here. But yeah, I think the ETFs thing, what's interesting about it is that these like larger institutions, multi-trillion-dollar assets under management, they're allowing their client base to be able to purchase and expose themselves to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right. And so typically in these types of situations, they get exposed and they really don't touch it for the rest of their lives. Right. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of like a 401k. Right.
Correct.
So a lot of Bitcoin is going to be bought and held for a long time.
Yeah.
As a result of this. And we're only a month into this whole ETF thing.
I totally agree. And now there's like an actual market signal as well. I'm about to link it to you here in this Discord of ours. I mean, if you're out there in the traditional finance world, you've been like, operating your existence under the frameworks and the blueprint of, your predecessors in this financial management space, I guess.
Yeah.
You tend to like rely on things like precious metals as like a very reliable, market hedge and stuff like that, right? And that is like the largely, as of right now, the mainstream understanding of Bitcoin's main value premise is, it could serve like a digital variant of basically that same utility, right? It needs to be part of everybody's, wealth management portfolio. And institutions are starting to buy into that. And here it is. I feel like there's no better signal than it actually surpassing one of the like legacy hedge assets.
You know, at $72,000, there's a chance that Bitcoin in the next bear cycle, this is the bear price of Bitcoin.
Like
this is the bottom end of Bitcoin's price, 60 to 70,000. So the bottom end of Bitcoin is now silver.
Yeah, something like that. On its way to, it has its eyes locked in on gold, of course, which is like what, 8 or 9 trillion, something
9 trillion,
maybe
yeah.
10-ish. So I don't think it's going to get there in this like market cycle, but nonetheless, the fact, silver and gold, they're like, they're bros.
Yeah.
If you're the traditional like stacker, I was at one point in my life, it's like, I'm going to stack some metals, dude.
What a boomer, dude.
I thought it was cool. I get to like fondle these coins,
Yeah.
Can't do that with Bitcoin.
No, you can't.
It's missing the fondling component.
I 3D printed him a Bitcoin one time so he could do that.
Yeah.
I did. I was flicking it around, dude, like it was a poker chip. It was like, that's my Bitcoin.
Right.
That's my ETH. But yeah, you start to get into the hobby, the lifestyle of stacking precious metals. You buy some gold, but you always come with some silver with it, right?
Yeah.
So this is it. Like this is actually the vision of Bitcoin becoming like a mainstay staple.
It's growing up.
Yeah, dude. Like we should play like a rip song for silver, dude. Rest in peace.
I don't think we have one of those.
There you go. Oh, poor silver, dude. I mean, silver's still cool. It looks good, like on jewelry and stuff.
It kind of does. A little old, but
yeah, whatever, dude. But Bitcoin.
So if Bitcoin actually reaches gold, so we're looking at it. Let's say 10x. That's $700,000 Bitcoin. That won't happen until probably at minimum another cycle or two.
Okay, so do we want to get into this? Like now, let's start thinking about predictions, because I mean that's what everybody wants to know, right? Like, how high is Bitcoin actually going to go?
Yeah, so I've been following this guy Giovanni on Twitter. He's been pushing this idea of power law.
Yeah,
and so power law has been used to describe the network effects of all kinds of things, like cities, their growth rate, the metabolic rates of different sizes of animals.
Mm-hmm.
And it's basically when you do a log of each of these, like I guess each of these like rates, you get like a perfect line right through it.
Okay.
And so right here is a perfect line through Bitcoin using the same power law. And so right in the center is like the kind of like the, I guess the value price of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And anything above it's like overbought, anything below is oversold.
So it's a lot more easy to follow than the rainbow chart, right? It's just a simple line.
It's a simple line. Yeah, the rainbow chart is the same thing, actually. The rainbow chart is kind of like the same thing, but if you zoom out with the rainbow chart, it gives you like a curve.
Mm-hmm.
And so this curve is adjusted with a log display of it in a line where each peak gets shorter and shorter on this graph.
Right.
But obviously there's still four years in between each of these.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that this gives you like a rough estimation of where things are going to be.
Yeah. I mean, this is my stance on all this. Is like, this is all cool and all. It's like one of the things that I think is like a for certainty when we're talking about Bitcoin is like in the long term analysis, in the sense like if you're like, zoomed out enough.
Yeah.
I think Bitcoin at this point it's proven itself to just it's very predictable, like what the long term outlook of it is going to be.
10 years from now, price is up.
Pretty much.
Down. Yeah.
Pretty much. So it's like this is like the asset you have that you could sleep good at night, but you don't want to spend too much of your mental energy trying to like think about what it's going to do in the short term, because that is truly random, right? Like it absolutely random.
Absolutely. Yeah. The price of Bitcoin is absolutely random at any given point in time.
Right.
But it is predictable in the long term.
Exactly. And that's what all these charts like demonstrate. So getting lost, I mean, I understand why you would want to get lost, because some people are in the game of like trying to literally time the tops and bottoms.
Yeah.
For good reason, right? You can really multiply your like your stack essentially.
Yeah.
If you have that ability, but I think few people on Earth actually have that skill.
Mm-hmm.
It's debatable if you can take measures like take profits in increments along these ways. Like as soon as we go above this line, which we're pretty much there.
Yeah.
Some people taking like a much more like a lower risk
off. Yeah.
Right. It's like, let me start taking some risk off the table. Right.
Yeah.
That would be a sound decision, right?
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of people who are just now entering this market. Like, what do you mean? There's no risk for me to take off yet, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So it's different demographics. Obviously, market positioning is a big deal. This is why we keep this channel going during these bear markets, right?
I feel like there's two reasons why we do this. Is to really predict the price of Bitcoin because it's fun. But the real reason is to understand like where we are in the market cycle.
That's true.
And
that helps a lot of things.
And because Bitcoin is entering into a point in time and a point in its life where the halving has a less and less impact as we go forward.
Yeah.
And so it's probably going to become much harder to predict where the price is at any given point in time, because the halving is like, we'll get to a point where it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if it halves. It's like, it doesn't really change anything.
Correct. Yeah. But you're right. Like really the main utility for Bitcoin, I mean, if you're already rich, then there's a reason why Bitcoin is becoming institutional grade as like an asset derivative. Like, it helps to have like a 300% market gainer.
Yeah.
Like in every 3 or 4 years, like that is a solid asset. And, if I already have the capital to kind of like play around in that, I'll do that. But for the rest of us who are like capitally fucking income, I don't know, like gimped.
Yeah.
Bitcoin isn't the most interesting.
Capital deficient.
Yeah, it's not the most interesting entertainment vehicle.
No.
Right. So that's why, if you've been watching us the last year, we've been focused on the things happening within Bitcoin.
That's right.
Right. The Ordinal space.
Where we see 1,000x's of entertainment regularly.
Right. Yeah. And then there's these things called runes coming up soon that people are already projecting. It's like, so what are runes? They're just basically another shitcoin system on top of Bitcoin. So if you're not aware, basically there's been like a bull market within Bitcoin for the last year.
Yes.
If you were paying attention, right? But but the opportunity doesn't stop there.
No.
Right? This is brand new technology.
See,
and a lot of people
the thing with Ordinals is like there's only been maybe 500,000 addresses who have like interacted with Ordinals.
Yeah.
That's like nothing.
It really isn't. I think that's how many people that hold like mana.
Yeah.
Even that's Decentraland. Like that's how many people came in to hold like a single token on Ethereum, right? So I mean that is the signal is now like, I mean, we're in price discovery mode. So a lot of the attention is probably going to be on Bitcoin and liquidity as a result.
Yeah.
If you go and look at these Ordinals markets, like they've actually been pulling back quite significantly over the last week or two because, you know, like we said, for the last year, it's been mostly the Ordinal show.
Yeah.
But now Bitcoin is kind of stealing that thunder. But at some point, Bitcoin's going to lose its steam. And guess where all that liquidity is going to kind of like trickle into?
That's right.
Ordinals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like the point of the video today is to talk about like, you know, everybody's going to be, the mainstream is going to be focused on the Bitcoin price. But if you're really paying attention, the opportunity is still within Bitcoin, but deeper inside with Ordinals.
Literally.
Like it hasn't even started, I think, for Ordinals in terms of like the wider macro, like retail involvement.
I would totally agree. Yeah. It's, the indicators aren't there that like the masses are aware and like the participation, the metrics of that hasn't been demonstrated because we were around last cycle. I mean, NFTs, that was the thing that kind of like captured everyone's attention.
Yeah.
Literally like billions of dollars in like daily was like trickling into the Web3 space. So we're assuming that's going to happen again. And it's very important to kind of like, as quickly as you can, kind of like brush up on your knowledge.
Yeah.
What's actually happening? What are the differences between Ordinals and like NFTs back on Ethereum? And yeah, we're going to help you guys. We're going to put out like some videos here pretty soon just to kind of like add this context as quick as possible.
Yeah. So we're going to release videos like in parts, kind of focusing on what is Ordinals.
Yeah. If you're into the technicals or you want to know more about the theory, we're going to cover that.
Yeah.
Because that's the stuff that interests us the most.
Yeah.
And once you understand the theory and the technicals, it's like, okay, then what? What can you do with this knowledge? Well, you start to build these things called metaprotocols.
That's right.
Right. That's kind of what's happening on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's, what does that mean? Well, there's some technical infrastructure to that also that is different than what, you know, there's no smart contracts involved in any of this yet. So.
Right.
So there's a lot of differences, right? So once you understand all that, then you start to understand what the metas are actually, what is investable, I guess, from an entertainment perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, you kind of go from there, dude. And then guess what? You're well versed and you're in it.
Yeah,
like the rest of us.
Yeah, because our prediction is the majority of the entertainment opportunity is going to be on Bitcoin.
Yeah,
it's still going to happen, you know, on Ethereum and all these other places, but I feel like, you know, the whole ETF thing, the whole macro focus on Bitcoin is just gonna shine a bigger light on to Ordinals.
100%. Yeah, and we usually don't. What was it?
What was it?
Oh, I heard something. Sorry. I was just gonna say we usually don't like make these like uber like bullish videos, but I guess today is a good day to do that just because again.
Yeah, everyone's like celebrating.
Everybody's freaking out. It's like all-time highs, so we're just jumping in with that energy.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's a little bit of like a what do you call that, dude? Like a what do they call those?
A parade?
No, like where we get to kind of like celebrate.
Rally?
Whatever.
A pep rally?
No, not a pep rally, dude. We're not in high school. A victory lap, in a sense, right?
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean, dude, a year ago.
We were right. We were wrong. We were wrong when it was 16,000, and we were right again.
I guess. We were right to, like, actually pivot our full attention at Bitcoin's direction a little over a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's it.
That is quite the victory lap, though. Like,
yeah.
I mean, was it a hard prediction? I mean,
yes.
If you really understand,
yes.
If you really understand like the markets and like the market psychology and people, like,
and if you understand like the actual value of Bitcoin, right?
And the value of Bitcoin,
that was like a no-brainer for us. It was a no-brainer, right?
Yeah,
but it's clearly hard to understand, even to like a lot of like the legacy like crypto experts. Like, they're just now starting to like trickle in, and we're seeing these tweets from like very notable.
Yeah,
impactful people in the Web3 industry, Like they're just now. It's like, you know what? NFTs on Bitcoin make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And it's like, huh?
And it's been happening, right, for over 12 months.
Right, but it takes these market signals like, oh shit, Bitcoin. Oh fuck, I forgot about that thing.
Well, why, man? I guess people are not paying attention as close as we are.
No, correct, because they were waiting for this. And the point is, it's happened.
Right.
So now everyone's paying attention, right? So keep your eyeballs exactly where you have them right now.
If you're watching, continue to watch.
Pretty much. Yeah. You're in for a good, entertaining 12 to 18 month.
Or maybe less.
Yeah.
Because who knows? This is weird. This is like unusual activity, right?
Remember, dude, it's random.
It is. That's true.
Yeah. So we don't know. We're not going to sit here and tell you like.
Yeah, maybe the height of or the price is random, but like it's still going to mimic previous cycles because it's only 15 years old. It's not that old.
Yeah.
It's still young. This is a youngling.
Yeah, Bitcoin is pretty ripe.
Still in high school, dude.
Something. God damn it. God damn it. Why'd you have to add that fucking high school dimension? Bitcoin ages in like non-human years, right? So
that's true. 15 years in the financial markets is like 45 years.
That's right.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It is quite actually, again, circling back to the fact that it just passed up silver. I find that mind-blowing considering silver is like as legacy as it gets. Like people, I mean, we literally dug it out of the earth, like probably since the beginning.
And they created markets around it.
Yeah, and like here, Bitcoin comes 15 years ago and just fucking that shit sucks now. That's pretty insane.
That is insane.
And but at some point, it's gonna do that to gold.
Yes.
Which like literally empires have like been born and destroyed over that substance.
Yeah. Good luck, Peter Schiff.
Not much greater empires.
Like the Roman Empire.
Yeah, all of them, dude. Spain.
Yeah.
Fucking, I don't know. Gold is very significant in history's timeline. So.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. The strategy is to like accumulate as much as you can. Like that's the real measure of value. This is the wealth transition that we kept talking about for years.
Literally, do you remember that was the first thing we talked about when we started the podcast?
Yeah,
I remember that was like. That was it. That was day one. Like discussion. It's like, dude, this is like the great wealth transfer.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We started the podcast at $3,000 Bitcoin.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
What a story it's been, dude.
Yeah.
Almost at the 5-year anniversary, by the way.
Yeah, that's right.
Happy anniversary, dude.
Well, we'll celebrate once we get there, dude.
Okay.
We still got a month away.
All right.
But anyway, that's been the video for us. If you have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. Stay tuned for our parts. How many parts is it going to be? Like 2, maybe 3?
2 to 3. Yeah, I mean, let's keep it under an hour. I want it to be like you guys consume like an hour of content that we put out there. It's like you should know just about 80 to 90% of what you need to know to like actually have some good...
collectively, an hour.
Yeah,
for the parts.
And like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
we can do that.
An hour is not that much, dude.
No.
Like, we're going to sum up as much as we've like learned in an hour. Right? And that should give you some kind of stable footing on this ship.
Yeah.
This runaway train.
Yeah. So that's going to be coming out hopefully this week.
Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate you for watching, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.